The rain hammered down on the forest floor, each drop exploding in a spray of tiny diamonds. Mud clung to their boots like chains, sucking at every step. The boy in front slipped, catching himself on a slick route. His breath was harsh, his face streaked with rain. Behind him, his sister pressed a smaller child close against her side, half carrying, half dragging her through the thicket. The storm pressed down, heavy as iron. Branches whipped. Thunder cracked so close the ground shook beneath them. Somewhere in the trees, wolves.
Mud clung to their boots like chains, sucking at every step. The boy in front slipped, catching himself on a slick root, his breath harsh, his face streaked with rain. Behind him, his sister pressed a smaller child close against her side, half carrying, half dragging her through the thicket. The storm pressed down, heavy as iron. Branches whipped. Thunder cracked so close the ground shook beneath them. Somewhere in the trees, wolves howled, or maybe men. The sound curled through the rain like a warning. "Keep moving," the boy rasped, voice hoarse. His eyes darted ahead, searching the shadows for the thing they were promised, the thing whispered about in hushed voices. Lightning split the sky, revealing it for a heartbeat. A leaning hut in a clearing, its roof sagging beneath the weight of water, its chimney coughing a thin, reluctant thread of smoke. The girls stiffened. "It's real." They pushed forward, hearts slamming, rain stinging their eyes. The hut loomed closer, each step sinking into mud. The door was crooked, swollen with water, and when the boys shoved it open it groaned like something wounded. Inside, the air was smoke and damp earth. A fire snapped weakly in a stone hearth, throwing just enough light to reveal her. She sat at a rough-hewn table, silver hair loose over her shoulders, hands moving in silence over a torn piece of cloth. The storm roared outside, but inside she was still, her eyes following the thread as though nothing existed beyond the needle's path. The children froze. The smaller one whispered, "Grandmother?" The old woman's hand paused. She lifted her gaze, and the fire caught her eyes. Not soft, not warm, hard, like steel weathered by years. The boy swallowed. "Father said you were dead." Silence. Only the hiss of rain on the roof. "Why?" The girl pressed, stepping forward. Her voice trembled with anger more than fear. "Why did he tell us that?" The old woman set the needle down, her fingers lingering on the cloth. Her shoulders rose, fell. She did not answer. The fire cracked. Shadows moved across her lined face, deepening the hollows in her cheeks. The boy's fists clenched. "We came all this way. We had to know if it was true." Still no reply. She reached for a kettle, poured water into a chipped cup, and set it near the fire. Her movements were deliberate, unhurried, as though their presence had changed nothing. The storm battered the walls. The younger child pressed her face into her sister's soaked dress, trembling. Finally, the old woman spoke, her voice rough as gravel. "Your father's tongue is not mine to guide." The boy stepped closer. "He lied. All these years he lied about you." Her gaze lifted to him, steady, unreadable. Then it drifted back to the fire. The girl's eyes shone with sudden fury. "Why didn't you come for us? Why stay out here?" The old woman's lips pressed thin. She reached for the torn cloth again, needles sliding through as the storm rattled the hut. It was the boy who noticed first. The scar, long, pale, running from the ridge of her jaw into the hollow of her throat. He stared, the words catching in his chest. Something in the air shifted. The girl whispered, softer now, "What happened to you?" The storm answered before she did, a crash of thunder that shook the table. For a moment, the fire nearly died, then flared again. The old woman set the cloth down, her hands trembling faintly. "Your father," she said at last, voice low, "chose his road, and I was not welcome on it." The words hung heavy, sharp as the rain outside. The children exchanged glances. None of them spoke. She rose slowly, joint stiff, and crossed to the hearth. Her hand reached for the iron poker, stirring the embers, sparks flying. "You should not have come," she murmured. "It is not safe." The boy stepped forward. "They're coming after us." Her head turned sharply. "Riders," he said. "We saw them on the ridge before the storm broke. Father sent them. He doesn't want us finding you." The hut seemed to shrink with those words. The storm pressed closer. The old woman's grip tightened on the poker until her knuckles whitened. Her face was a mask, but her eyes burned with something they had not seen before. Not sorrow, not fear, but something sharper. She set the poker down with a thud. "You'll stay tonight," she said. "The rain will keep most men from moving fast. At first light, you leave this place." The girl's voice cracked. "Not without you." Her eyes softened, but only for a heartbeat. Then the hardness returned. "My road ends here." The boy shook his head, angry now. "No, it doesn't. We saw the smoke. You're alive." "You?" "Alive," she cut in, her voice like the storm itself. "But not the woman you seek." The fire spat, sparks rising, shadows jumping on the walls. She turned away, but the children saw it. The tremor in her hand, the faintest shake as though memory itself was gnawing at her bones. At last, she spoke again, quieter. "I buried my rifle the day he turned against me." The children stared. Thunder crashing overhead, the truth hanging heavy in the air like the storm. Hooves hammered through the mud, the sound carrying even over the thunder. Lanterns swung in the storm, yellow light jerking between trees like restless ghosts. The old woman's eyes narrowed. She shoved the children toward the back wall. "Stay low." The boy's voice cracked. "There's too many." She ignored him, stooping by the hearth. Her fingers dug at the floorboards, prying until it splintered. The storm filled the silence between them, each crash of thunder a drumbeat. Then she pulled it free, the long bundle wrapped in oilskin, dark with years. Her hand steadied as she unwrapped it. Steel gleamed in the firelight, cold, unbent by time. The rifle, the girl's breath caught. "You still have it." The woman's face was stone. She checked the chamber, fingers moving with memory, not thought. She slid cartridges into place with the precision of someone who had done it 1,000 times. Outside, the rider spread. Shouts cut through the rain. A man's voice, deep, commanding. "Burn it if you must. They're in there." The children froze. They knew that voice. The boy whispered, "Father." The old woman's jaw clenched. She moved to the doorway, rifle cradled, eyes locked on the shadows beyond the storm. Lightning split the sky, and in that flash she saw them. 6 riders, guns at the ready, her son at their head. Her voice carried out into the rain. "You've come far enough." The riders checked their horses, startled at the sound. Her son leaned forward in the saddle, rain dripping from the brim of his hat. "You should have stayed forgotten." The rifle rose, steady as iron, "and you should have remembered your blood." His laugh was sharp, bitter. "Blood, don't buy land. Blood, don't build an empire. You were nothing then and you're nothing now." The children huddled in the shadows, watching. The girl's hand clutched her brother's sleeve. The boy's eyes never left his grandmother. The storm grew savage, wind tearing branches, rain lashing like whips. For a long breath, no one moved. Then the first shot cracked. The old woman fired, the muzzle flash lighting her face like lightning. A rider toppled from his horse, swallowed by the mud. Chaos broke. Guns roared. Horses reared. She moved with calm precision, every shot finding its mark. Her figure stood firm in the doorway. The storm behind her, each thunderclap masking the crack of her rifle. The children pressed to the wall, flinching with every report, yet off flicker in their eyes. The forgotten mother was not frail now. She was something larger, a figure carved from storm and fire. Her son shouted, spurring his horse forward. "Kill her." 2 riders broke through the rain, charging the hut. She dropped one with a single shot. The second drew closer, until the boy, trembling, hurled a stone that struck the horse's flank. The beast screamed, throwing its rider into the mud. The grandmother's rifle barked again. Silence swallowed the clearing, broken only by the rain. Smoke curled from the barrel. Her chest heaved, but her eyes never left the man still mounted in the storm. He dismounted slowly, boots sinking in mud. The lantern swung around him, throwing his shadow long. He drew his pistol, held it loose at his side. "Always did think you were better than me," he growled, stepping closer. "But you beg in the end. I remember it." Her face didn't change. "I beg for you. Not for me." He sneered, lifting the pistol. "Then beg again." The rifle rose, barrel leveled at his heart. Lightning struck behind him, painting the sky in blood-red fire. For a heartbeat, the canyon itself seemed to glow, earth steaming, storm boiling, shadows twisting like specters. The children saw them silhouetted, mother and son, locked in the oldest standoff. Rain ran down her face, streaking silver hair across her cheeks. Her finger curled around the trigger. He smirked. "Do it, or you prove you're nothing." The air held its breath. The children leaned forward, eyes wide. The storm seemed to pause on the edge of silence. Her voice cut through it, low and steady. "I don't kill my own." She shifted the barrel, a hair's breadth, and fired. The bullet shattered the pistol from his hand, sending it spinning into the mud. He staggered, staring at her in shock, the roar of the shot still ringing in his ears. The riders left standing looked to him, waiting, but he said nothing. His chest heaved, eyes wide with something he had never shown before, fear. The old woman lowered the rifle. "You've lost, boy. Not to me. To yourself." The children stepped from the hut then, standing at her back. Their faces were pale, but their eyes were fierce, unafraid. He looked at them, at his own blood turned against him, and his jaw clenched. Without another word, he turned, stumbling through the mud toward his horse. The remaining riders followed, silent, disappearing into the storm. The clearing fell quiet, save for the patter of rain. Smoke drifted from the rifle barrel. The girl whispered, "Grandmother." The old woman set the rifle down with care, leaning it against the wall. Her shoulders sagged, the storm's weight settling into her bones again. But her eyes, when she turned to them, still burned. "This hut isn't just mine anymore," she said softly. "It's ours." The children ran to her then, clutching her tight, mud and rain forgotten. Outside, the storm eased. The sky, still bruised with thunderclouds, glowed faintly with the last red fire of dusk. And in that light, the tale took root of the mother who was left to rot in the jungle, who rose again not for vengeance, but for love, her name carried in whispers as long as storms walked the frontier.